It's time to accelerate. Hey friends, this is Andy. Welcome to episode 679, that's 679, of Accelerate, the sales podcast of record. I've got a fun show lined up for you today. Joining me is Joe Dalton. In fact, all the way from Ireland, Joe is joining us. Joe is a sales trainer and sales marketing coach, as I said, based in Ireland, and host of the fun podcast, on which I was privileged to be a guest, his podcast entitled Breakthrough Brands. Now, before I get to Joe, I want to tell you a little bit about the Sales House. Yeah, I've been talking about this the last several weeks since we launched it. This is a really unique venture. This is the B2B Sales Education Accelerator. Now, I created this Sales House specifically for the curious and the smart B2B seller. Now, I want you to do is take a moment, picture the future you, the future successful you. 10 years into the future, think about the satisfaction you're feeling from all that you've accomplished and how you've succeeded. Well, I want you to take a second now. Now that you've pictured that future you and write down just what you think you need to have learned to make that future a reality. And hey, that's what you're going to learn in the Sales House, because this is not just an education. This is not training. This is a movement to become who you want to be, to become the best version of you, to be great on your terms. So come and invest a few minutes a day in the Sales House. You get unlimited access to me and every bit of sales wisdom I've acquired from my successful career in sales, and you get access to a roster of world-class experts who are sharing their expertise, as well as you get unlimited access to live coaching hours and live workshops, in-person meetups, all of that. So remember, selling is a tough business, but you don't have to sell alone. The whole Sales House community is here to help. So visit thesaleshouse.com/accelerate. That is thesaleshouse.com/accelerate to take advantage of our special $1 trial offer for listeners of Accelerate. All right, so let's jump into it with my guest today, Joe Dalton. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 pillars for business success that Joe has identified in his work with companies. And those 3 pillars are mindset, marketing, and sales. But in today, in particular, we're going to focus on mindset, what the mindset is for success. I mean, mindset really is your view of yourself. And we're going to start off the conversation by comparing and contrasting the mindsets of people who make millions with those who do less given the same number of hours in a day. What is the difference in mindset between them? So, all right, here we go. Joe Dalton, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Andy. I'm delighted to be in the comfort of my wife's car.
Oh, your wife's car. Oh, your wife has the better car. You're doing it hands-free right here.
Hands-free, yes.
All right.
Elon Musk, thank you.
Well, I have to admit, this is fairly novel. I think this is, I've done an interview with somebody who was wandering around their backyard, or garden, as we'd say, where you are.
Yeah.
So, but never in a car. So this is good. So what model of car is this? Because the acoustics are quite nice.
Yes, it's actually a Toyota RAV4. It's my wife's car.
All right.
So it's high up. It's a Jeep, and it's nice and spacious. So I'm sitting in it at the moment. and the reason I'm sitting in it, we have lots of children, and it's bedtime. Four kids.
4 kids. Wow.
Yeah, 4, and it's bedtime. And as anyone out there that knows, if they have small children, bedtime is a running battle in most households, and anyone that denies it is lying. So I said, love, I'm going to sit in your lovely RAV4 Toyota and do an interview with Andy, because we wouldn't be able to speak if we were in the house. Yeah.
I only had 2 at one time, but I was the youngest of 4, so I vaguely remember. I'm sure I was the cause of much of the madness that existed at that time. So
the madness, and there still is madness. That's the thing.
Well, there you go.
I'm the youngest of 7.
Wow.
Yeah, good Irish Catholic.
Good Irish Catholic families. There you go. Right. I was waiting for you to say it. I grew up in Wisconsin, where we had a lot of large Catholic families among the friends of ours too, and that's 4. I mean, these days 4. We had 4. 4 seems like a lot compared to most people. So
yeah.
Well, Joe, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm delighted.
Now that we've shared our personal problems with people.
Problems with people, yes. Please call 1-800-999.
Yeah, that's right. So you're based in Ireland?
Yes, Dublin, Ireland.
You're in Dublin, okay.
Yeah.
And do you have it's probably a bad question to ask, but do you have a rooting interest in the World Cup? Where, recording this right time in the World Cup is at the quarterfinals.
Yes. I posted yesterday on Facebook that I haven't watched one single game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I usually do. But for some reason, Ireland not being in the World Cup, of course.
Would be one.
And the second, while everyone is out watching the World Cup, I'm selling. And it's been very good.
Well, hey.
Yeah, make hay when the sun shines.
That's right. If Ireland's not in it, it's a good time, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I lost a myth many, many moons ago when people were saying, oh, we can't do that because it's Monday. Or we can't do this because it's Wednesday. Or we can't do this because it's Christmas. Or we can't do this because it's Easter. Or whatever it may be. And I says, while everyone else is complaining of what day it is, I'll be out hustling.
Making money.
Making money. Follow the money. Follow the money. That's my motto of the month.
Okay. So we're going to talk about mindset today.
Yes, we are indeed. As you know, with myself, I run workshops and I do one-on-ones with clients, and I call it the 3 pillars of business success. And those 3 pillars are mindset, marketing, and sales. And I'll just jump into them all, and then we'll jump right back into the mindset.
Sure.
So the mindset is understanding your mind, your thoughts that's going in your head, clarity, as you know that we need to have clarity, and then taking action, your environment, and upping your skills. And then marketing is your branding, who you are, and you're an expert at that, on your branding, your audience, your message, what platforms, and consistency. And then the sales process is contact, categorize, convince, close, and complete. So they're the steps. And as you know, in each one of them, I spoke about 5 elements. So in mindset, for me, I found that, we were all jumping in and we were all pitching marketing and we were all jumping in and telling people how to sell. And these were the focal points. But in my 28 years in experience, I was kind of going, there has to be more to it. There has to be something. We talk about enthusiasm when we talk about, the success. But what makes it? What really makes it? And in my life journey, and, I've traveled all over the world, as you know, we've spoke before, and I've been in the States, I've been all over Europe, I've been in Asia, all to do with sales and marketing. And I kind of went, I have my journey, so I know my sales and marketing, and then there's a spiritual end to me as well, and not religious, but a spiritual end. So in my endeavors, I went and kept asking people and discussing to them, and I realized that everybody wakes up in the morning and has doubt. They wake up and they have fear of what they're going to be doing that day, or a lot of people had that feeling of the self, the imposter.
Sure.
Am I doing a good job? And so I kind of looked at the mindset and looked at what was going on in people's heads. And as a sales, we talk about sales. If sales is very competitive, we if you're not doing the job, you're out the door. There's a lot of people I've noticed in business that inherited a sales job because they were the founder, or they had a great idea and they developed something and it was absolutely amazing. But then when you were asked them to go out and sell it, they shit themselves. Don't know if I can say that word on your show.
I think with the accent, no one caught it.
And they were terrified. So it really was going down to in the one-on-ones or the training courses I run. It's really getting in to tell the person that, look, we're all the same. We all get up in the morning. We all have the same amount of hours each day. It's how you use that time. It's how can one guy be making millions with the same amount of hours and time in the day, and one person scratching their head and going, I'm not doing a good job. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong?
Well, But maybe one of the issues is not one of the issues, but a thought that we can talk about here is so you said wake up in the morning, we're all the same, but maybe that's part of our problem we have in sales is that maybe we just don't acknowledge the fact that really we all wake up and we're all different. I mean, I think that one of the issues that I see with sales teams, sales managers, and sort of one of the thrusts in sales these days is uniformity, right? We want people to be the same, want people to follow the same process, use the same scripted questions, and it's like, I want people that are the best version of themselves, and that may not be strictly in line with that. And so I wonder whether we're glossing over differences. We need to make a better effort of appreciating the differences.
Yeah, and when I say that we're all the same, I mean that everyone has doubts and everyone has fears and everyone has aspirations. But it's I get up in the morning and I now have learned to have gratitude. Mm-hmm. And gratitude for everything in my life. And I wake up in the morning now, and it took me a long time to get that mantra into my head. Going, look, I have an amazing life. I have a super wife. I have amazing children. And today is going to be just an amazing day. Mm-hmm. Instead of waking up and going, oh, today's going to be rubbish. Oh my God, that customer. Oh, what have I done with that? And walking out the door, which a lot of people. I'll give you an example. I was on I was going into Dublin City the other day, and I got the tram in, and I very rarely get the tram, and everyone was on their phone, and I looked around, and all the young people were there. They were just looking at their phone, and they were going Twitter, LinkedIn, email, Facebook, Twitter. So they were just, being quite tall, I was looking down, I was being nosy, right? And they were all just going through those 4 processes and then going back just in case they missed something from the first one. And the odd person would look up, and I'd look, they all were miserable looking. And they were all trammed in this thing, and they were all looking up, and you catch the odd person and they'd smile at you. But you could see the worry in some of their faces, and you could see happiness in other faces. But it was all like, there's more to life, folks.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a survey that was done of people here in the States, I think 65 and over, and this was, I don't know, maybe a year ago that it was reported. And they asked me what their biggest regret in life was. The biggest regret in life was they worried too much. Yeah. And so,
that's where I'm trying to get at, which it's trying to get people to say, look, stop worrying as much. There's a company over here who does surveys, and they found there was 29 elements that people had that they're trying to achieve in their lives. And the biggest question that people wanted to know are what is my life purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And that
but that's interesting. But it's when you think about it in sales, is not to get everything back to sales, but I mean it just in life in general is there was a study published last week here in the United States. Researchers from Yale and Stanford looking at this idea of people who have a passion, say they have a passion, this is their motivating factor in life, versus those who are more, well, let's say open-minded, a little uncertain about exactly what the purpose was, and so on. But what they sort of called the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset, and they found that the people with the fixed mindset, that passion, quote unquote passion, that everybody's advised to find their passion, that as people, that group, as individuals, tend to be less motivated, less curious, less apt to learn new things because they thought the passion was going to serve them, right? The passion owed them, basically, right? If I've invested all my time in you, you're going to give back to me. Whereas the people with the growth mindset were much more likely to be curious, open-minded, much more tolerant of ambiguity, which, I think is one of the prime skills for salespeople to be able to have in this world is that, resilience, we talk about grit, but I think part of the grit is that you have to be able to survive and thrive and be adaptable in environments where ambiguity reigns supreme. And if that nothing describes sales better than, ambiguity when you're dealing with the prospect.
When you start telling about coming out of the States, there, the only thing that came into my mind was fake news. Europe is booming at it. Every direction is going. Anything that comes out of the States now is fake news. That's the running joke.
Yeah, well, our gift, if you will, to
mankind,
to civilization.
But look, it's like entrepreneurship. You know that if you have an idea and you have a business, when everyone else is around you think that it's mad and think you're silly, you're focused on the prize and you are doing your research and you know what you have and you're driving because you know it's going to be a success. And we know the story about the guy who's selling the ice creams and the guy who sees him selling ice creams on the corner of the road and he's making a fortune, and he looks at your man and goes, God, he's making a fortune selling ice creams. I'm going to go and sell ice creams because he's making a fortune. So he opens one up on the other side of the road and he's not making as much money because he was following the money end of it instead of the passion and the drive. And, a lot of people in business, they create a business because they see the money element, because they see someone else making money. But they don't realize that person probably had 4 or 5 years of hell to get to where they were to start making the money on it. And they don't have the passion and drive of that person. So, they've set this up. They see someone else doing well. They're only following the money, and the business would fall flat in its face.
Yeah, the research is pretty clear that money is not the primary motivator for really successful people. I mean, there's a book I just finished reading, just interviewed the author. It's called Barking Up the Wrong Tree by a gentleman named Eric Barker. It's a bestseller in the United States. It's all about the surprising science of success. But we hear this more and more, is that the really successful people, when you look from a mindset perspective, is they know the rewards will come if they do challenging work, if they do work that's fulfilling to them, then they'll get the rewards they need.
I'm happy when I'm working on a project and it could be 3:00 in the morning and I'm doing it because I love it. And the only reason that I'll stop doing it is because I have to get up in the morning. So I'll stop. And because it's passion and the drive on it. But I think like in the States, you're looking at small businesses over here in the States. Like I think when I was in an interview with yourself a while back, or it might have been with Jed Blunt, and we're talking about small businesses in the States. And a small business in the States makes $50 million a year. A small business here in Ireland just covers enough to pay the mortgage. No,
I wouldn't go that far with the US, but
and I realize that a lot of people who are in business, they're flip-flopping around. A lot of them are doing a lot of guesswork. They're running the business, but it's crazy. It's chaotic. And, they're only just getting the money to pay the mortgage or put food on the table. And you ask them for something and they have to take it out of their savings. They're not taking it out of the business. And when I get into a conversation with these people, I find really they're missing clarity on what they want to do.
Yeah, missing the vision.
The passion. Yeah, they have the vision, they have the passion, but they don't have the clarity on how to, what customers they're looking for, who is their ideal customer, what problems they're trying to solve. I'll go to big network meetings here and everyone stands up and does a 5-minute talk and someone get up to do their 5-minute talk and they do this. Hi, I'm such and such and I run. Will you look at us, for God's sake? Please have a look at us. Sorry, I forget that people can't see me.
Yeah, well, I think people can see you. Is I think that yeah, but to me that comes down to vision. Right? Understanding who you're selling, who you're serving is really the vision, not so much how much money I want to make or what my passion is. It's how's this thing going to fold out? I mean, this is an issue, I think, for sales in general, is that most sales reps don't really understand what their primary job is. It's not unambiguously clear to them exactly what they should be doing on a functional level when they get to work, but then also just sort of that one higher plane of, well, really, what is my job? They have no idea. I mean, I asked that question when I go talking in front of groups. What's your job? And everybody's job is, well, I'm trying to convince somebody or influence somebody to buy something. And I'm like, I don't think that's your job. I think that's an outcome of what you do. I think your job is to connect and engage with another person and inspire them to take action. Oh, you mean build a relationship? Yeah, like that. I mean, if you can't get that part done, then the other part's never going to happen. So what's your job?
Did you ever watch the movie Tommy Boy?
Oh my God. Next to fake news, another one of our great exports. Yes.
Do you know when he sits down in front of the person and he gives them the pitch or whatever, and your man goes no, and he goes thank you, and walks out the door. I always remind that, when I see sales guys in their very finest pitch, and when they hit an objection, they're up and they're out the door, and they all remind me of Tommy Boy. That's for. So for all your listeners, tune into that film and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's what it is as well with salespeople. It's getting into creating curiosity. Like a lot of them go into building from rapport straight into fact finding and asking questions and going through. They're not, a lot of them won't have lost the art of creating that curiosity for the person to say, "Oh yeah, tell me more." And that's even seasoned sales guys jumping in to do presentations, and they just get in, and I've seen them just fly through doing a presentation, and I go, you never even asked questions before you got into doing the presentation. So that's what I'm trying to jump back into mindset is getting into clarity, clarity on what you're doing, clarity on the direction, the clarity on what real problems are you trying to solve. Put yourself in the customer's shoes, really understand what value you can offer and how can you best serve them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'll go back to what I just said is it starts with, you have to make that connection with a person. You're not going to get the opportunity to stimulate curiosity, to understand what the requirements are and how you can help them, the value you can provide, if the first time you get a chance to chat with them, you turn them off because you launch into a pitch without asking about them. You don't have any small talk at all. You don't try to engage with them on a human level, just as a person to a person, not as a buyer and a seller. Things that research show are unequivocally are important, and it's part of it is that new generations of salespeople are being trained to not do those things because they say, well, the buyer doesn't have time. Well, that's, again, research is unequivocally clear. Of course they have time, and they're still people, right? They want to engage with this person. This is part of the buying experience. As you as an individual selling to a buyer, how you interact as on a human level is part of the buying experience. People
buy from people. We've said that for years.
Well, but now, I have to remind audiences when I talk to them is you don't sell to personas, you sell to people. So you're not selling to someone who fits these characteristics and are sort of like that. No, you've got somebody that's a real, actually living, breathing person that may have some of those characteristics, but they've got a lot of other things to them as well. And how do you engage them on a personal level?
How do you engage people that don't like talking on the phone? I had a sales guy speak to me the other week who told me that he was engaging with someone through one of the social media platforms. And then when he says, look, let's have a conversation, the other person said, well, I'm not really good on the phone, but I'd like to just continue on the process here through text.
Then I'd go see them personally.
Yeah. Well, if there's, if it's a different part of the world or whatever.
That's a whole different thing. Then it's probably not your thing. Because if that's a person, a salesperson who, one of their strengths is how they connect to people, whether on the phone or whatever. And if this person says, look, I only want to do it through text. Yeah, maybe it's not worth your time.
Yeah, no, but the day was done and the event and everything is happening. But he found it. He said, kind of went, yeah, okay. Well, look, that's what you want. That's what you want. I know 20-year-olds and that don't like using the phone. They don't. Yeah. Was it someone told me that there was, I don't know if it was a joke or whatever, but it could be true. They were saying 911, which is the same as here 999. You can't text that; you actually have to ring. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that certainly you see with the growth of inside sales teams, and certainly the tech business in the United States is really putting the lie to this idea that young people won't get on the phone and make calls because these are SDR teams packed full of new college graduates or people relatively new in their careers, and they're doing a lot of great proactive outbound cold calling. I mean, they can do it if you put them in the right environment, and also I think if you give them the right mindset in terms of what it is they're trying to accomplish with their jobs.
Use this phone or I'll kill you.
Not sure how effective that is.
No, but I'm always jesting. It's like in the coal mines at one stage in England. They were the backbone of England, sure. And suddenly it was taken away, and they didn't know what was going to happen with all these people. And then, a decade later, there was more people working in call centers in England than there was actually ever in the coal mines.
Mm-hmm.
So, it evolves. It evolves. So it's a kind of a case of going, okay, well, why can't someone pick up the phone if there's more people in England in call centers than there was in the coal mines?
Yeah. Well, but right. Well, I mean, I think that's a lesson for everything that's happening in sales today, is that this is not a fixed point in time. This is not the end of the journey. This is not the last of the evolutions. I mean, we're seeing whole industries constructed around supporting inside sales teams and so on. And the only thing you know for sure is that's going to change. In 10 years, it's going to look completely different.
I believe in inside sales and outbound and inbound, but I also kind of feel, is inbound a way that is being battered around as an excuse for people not to call, for people not to speak? There's this big illusion. Okay, we write blogs, we do infographics, we do podcasts, we do radio shows to let people know who we are and that we exist. But there is also that element of it when a business is starting off, and when you have to make those calls and get out there and knock on doors and let people know. But it's being piped around and going, oh, you don't need to do any of that anymore. All you need to do is just build a landing page and offer a lovely ebook, and all these people will come to you and you'll be brilliant.
Yeah,
and
I think people are getting past that. I mean, there's certainly...
we're usually a couple of years behind you.
Right, but I mean, there are companies I've spoken to here in the U.S., prominent inside sales teams, oftentimes startups, mature startups that have said, the SDR model, given the sort of complexity and price point of the product we're selling, we tried it, sort of the big SDR team way, and now we're sort of scaling back. Or others saying, look, we're going to SDR team, but they're mostly going to respond to inbound, and our account execs now have to do outbound prospecting.
Yeah,
which they should have been doing anyway. Arguably should have been doing anyway. So I think we're seeing, companies everybody sort of jumped onto the boat and said, this is really exciting, we should try this. And now they're saying, okay, that'll work for some companies. For us, maybe again, more complexity, more, higher price point, more complexity in the sale and the approval process. Yeah, maybe that's not the model for us, but we'll use elements of it. So we're seeing that evolution start to take place.
I think you need both. I think to parallel, you need to be doing it all, but you also need to have your guys hitting the phones, having the conversations. It's like, look at Ireland. Ireland has got a population of 4.5 million people. Okay, so about
the size of my neighborhood here in New York City,
right? And we talk about 3 degrees of separation in the world. Okay, in Ireland it's 1 degree.
Yeah, everybody's related, right?
Everyone's somewhat. So everybody knows somebody that knows somebody, And so it's just like now, don't get me wrong, there's 70 million Irish worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's 35 million, I think, in America.
Yes.
Right. So, but in this little country with 4.5 million people, and everyone knows everyone, it's like just one big network moving around in a big soup. So here networking works extremely well. Getting to go out to meetings, getting to know people, using LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn in Ireland has really taken off. Up to about a year ago, it was just a big recruitment platform, and now people are using it in such a way as, like, for me, it's my Rolodex.
Sure.
And people now are connecting, and where there's LinkedIn meetup groups in Dublin City, and there's a load of people. So it's evolving that way, that it's all about what you're saying. There is people behind the business, and so in Ireland, it's all about who you know. But when the Irish want to do business, and believe me, Ireland's great at putting people on top of a pedestal and then taking your legs from underneath you when you get a little bit high for yourself, right? But it's great ground, because then you learn there, and then when you're going out to look for markets like in America, or you're looking for markets in England, you've learned all this networking, and then you're using all the platforms, which in your case in America and in England use. So it's good grounds.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so we've just about run out of time, and so tell folks how they can connect with you and learn more about what you're doing, because you have a podcast as well.
Yes, and my podcast was inspired by you, my friend.
Oh, really?
Yes. I listened to your podcast and the information you were giving, and I said, you know what? And I connected with you on LinkedIn then after a while, and I kind of went, this is the route, and I started doing a couple, and then I asked you. I remember asking you, would you come on my show, and you said yes. And I felt it was like the biggest win that I had that week.
Well, thank you.
Right. It was, oh my God, I have to get Andy Paul on my show. This is brilliant. And it was fun. And then
it was. We had a good time.
And then, I talk about at times, like, people that, when my show, I ask people about their book. And I remember, I think you said Shakespeare, wasn't it? I like
to read, yeah. The one salespeople should read, yeah.
Yeah, and I say that to other people. And when they say, well, I don't know what to pick, it says, well, Andy Paul said Shakespeare. They went, oh, that's a great one. So, yes,
it is.
Yes, it is.
Learn the language.
Learn the language, and my show now is on radio in Australia as well. It's been picked up there. Anyone can find it. It's Breakthrough Brands, Joe Dalton. And my website is www.jdc.ie. I do workshops on sales training, and I also do one-on-one coaching on the 3 pillars of business success: mindset, marketing, and sales.
All right. Well, Joe, good to talk to you again.
Great talking to you, my friend.
The perfect sound studio in your Toyota RAV4. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I could bring you inside now. We could do a walk around, Hollywood walk around the house.
Yeah, with the kids, yeah.
Ketchup and everything everywhere.
So how old are your kids?
2, 4, 14, and 20.
Oh, so you have them close together.
Yeah, yes. You have to have a break.
Jeez Louise. After 6 years, that I don't think I would have been inspired to start again.
A lot of tears.
I can imagine. All right.
Yeah, a lot of tears.
You're a good man, Joe Dalton. So, all right, Joe, thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Brilliant. Take care. Thanks for having me on. See you later.
Okay, friends, that was Accelerate for the week. First of all, I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to thank my guest, Joe Dalton. Join me again next week as I welcome Lee Sauls to Accelerate. We're going to be talking about Lee's excellent new book titled Sales Differentiation. I have read it, and I do recommend it. So, before you go, don't forget to check out The Sales House, the only all-in-one sales education accelerator for B2B sellers. Visit saleshouse.com/accelerate, or if you'll make it easy on yourself, just go to andypaul.com. Either way, we'll get you to The Sales House, and I look forward to seeing you there. So thanks again for joining me. Until next week, I'm Andy Paul. Good selling, everyone.